Right, let's just dive straight into this explainer. We're looking at a daytime assassination in Karachi. And I mean, it's a chilling case that really just blows the lid off a nationwide crisis. We're going to break down exactly what happened in May 2026 and use that as a lens to understand the massive legal and social friction happening across Pakistan. It's a heavy subject, but it is absolutely crucial to understand.
To really set the scene here, imagine this. It's May 26, 2026. 20-year-old Nadia and 25-year-old Najibullah are executed, literally in broad daylight. What's absolutely wild about the police report is the timing. Just moments before the gunfire, they were inside a Malir court. They just presented their marriage certificate, proving this was a free will marriage, and the judge had legally validated it. They walked out of that courtroom genuinely thinking, okay, we're finally safe.
But of course, they weren't. Let's trace back for a second and look at how things escalated so quickly. We're talking about an 8-day window here, and mapping it out really shows the kind of intense pressure they were under.
So on May 18th, Nadia goes missing from her home. The very next day, her dad goes to the police and files an abduction case against Najibullah. But as we know, it wasn't an abduction at all, they eloped. Fast forward to May 26, they legally prove in court it was their own choice, which actually gets Najibullah's father released from police custody. But man, that illusion of safety, it lasted maybe a few minutes before they were ambushed in Saadabad.
The police started digging immediately. And what they found wasn't just a story about, wounded family pride like people often assume. It was actually driven by a cold, hard financial transaction. 350,000 rupees. Keep that exact number in mind, because according to police interrogations, that is the exact amount of money that was paid for Nadia's original arranged engagement to a guy named Saeed Gapong. When she eloped, that whole financial deal totally collapsed.
And things unraveled fast. Within 15 hours, police arrested Nadia's own brother, Sajid. His confession is just absolutely chilling. He told them the former fiancé basically issued an ultimatum: give me my 350,000 rupees back or kill the couple. Since the family literally didn't have the cash to repay the engagement money, they agreed to a hit, and Sajid actually carried it out, right alongside the fiancé's brother who was driving the getaway bike.
When you hear about the CCTV footage of the ambush, it's just so calculated. The attackers pull right up next to the couple's rented car, and they fire directly into the back seat at close range. They intentionally ignored the driver and another relative who were sitting right there. It wasn't random. They confirmed their targets and then just calmly drove off. A precise, targeted assassination. So it forces us to take a step back and ask the big question, right? How does this keep happening? How can two people be gunned down outside a courthouse over what's essentially an unpaid engagement fee disguised as family honor?
To really grasp why this isn't an isolated incident, we have to look at the macro level. The numbers tracked by human rights groups between 2024 and 2026 paint a pretty stark picture of a systemic crisis.
We're talking roughly 450 to 500 reported honor killings every single year in Pakistan. Hundreds of people, just like Nadia and Najibullah, whose lives are ended under this pretext of defending family honor. And honestly, researchers point out this is probably a massive undercount. The social stigma is so intense that families often just cover it up and never go to the authorities.
And here's the real kicker. Back to back with that staggering death toll is this incredibly concerning estimate, a 12% conviction rate. Think about that, 12%. It practically guarantees impunity. If you know there's nearly a 90% chance you're going to get away with it, any deterrent effect from the justice system just completely evaporates.
Now you might be wondering, wait, aren't there laws against this? Well, yes, there are, but there's a massive clash between the laws on paper and the social norms on the ground. Here is where the legal system hits a massive bottleneck. On one hand, you've got the 2016 Anti-Honor Killing Act, which is super progressive and mandates life in prison for these crimes. But operating right alongside it is the much older Qisas and Diyat law from 1990. And that law allows perpetrators to seek forgiveness from the victim's family. You see the problem, right? In an honor killing, the victim's family usually are the perpetrators. So it creates this glaring legal loophole where killers are officially pardoned by their own relatives.
Now, the judiciary is actively trying to close these gaps. For example, in a December 2024 ruling, the Sindh High Court made it crystal clear. If parents don't like a free will marriage, the absolute most they can do is cut social ties, period. No threatening, no harassing, definitely no harming their adult kids. But despite these rulings, local power structures like tribal councils or jirgas, they act like a parallel justice system, and they constantly render those legal protections completely toothless.
So what's really driving this? It's not just about writing better laws. There is a much deeper structural rot at play here that goes right to the socioeconomic foundation of the society.
If you look at the World Economic Forum data, Pakistan ranks 145th out of 146 countries in the Global Gender Gap Index. Just to put that into perspective, let's compare it to a regional neighbor like Bangladesh. Female labor force participation is 38% in Bangladesh, but only 23% in Pakistan. Analysts argue that this severe lack of economic participation feeds directly into the dangerous societal view that women are just financial liabilities that need to be controlled.
Actually, human rights researcher Dr. Farzana Bari hits the nail on the head here. She says the law is basically a paper tiger if the police and the judges enforcing it are stuck in the exact same patriarchal mindset as the perpetrators. I mean, drafting a new law won't save anyone if the people tasked with protecting the vulnerable share the exact same biases as the attackers, right?
So how do we actually break this cycle? Experts are pretty aligned on the path forward. Yes, you absolutely need rigorous enforcement of those 2016 laws, for sure. But you also have to tear down the structures protecting these perpetrators. We're talking bulletproof witness protection programs, making sure that police are totally insulated from local political pressure, and, critically, massively investing in female economic empowerment.
I want to leave you with this one final thought, especially in memory of Nadia and Najibullah. Until a society genuinely values human life more than wounded pride and a financial dispute, how many more people are going to be sacrificed? It's a question of legal reform, yes, but ultimately, it's about a profound cultural evolution. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning.